Good day, everyone, and a warm welcome to our next system webinar. Today's topic is personal wellness. We're glad that you can join us, and we trust that you will find the session insightful, like all the others have been. A few announcements. Those of you that are attending these system webinar training sessions, in order to receive your accreditation certificate at the end of the year, just a reminder that should you have missed any of the sessions, the recordings are available. You can go to the Shadowmatch events calendar on shadowmatch.com or shadowmatch.co.za, and on the events calendar, the system webinars have the maroon color, the maroon red color. You will find the recordings of all those webinars on the events calendar, and you can then just catch up and send a one-page summary to Charmaine in order to qualify for your accreditation certificate, Shadowmatch user accreditation certificate at the end of the year. If you're not sure which ones you've missed, you're welcome to send an email to Charmaine at shadowmatch.co.za. Alternatively, you can send an email to info@shadowmatch.com, and we will then check and we will reconcile on our side, and we will let you know which ones you have missed, and you can then watch those recordings, send your summary, and make sure that you qualify for your certificate at the end of the year. As I've said, today's topic is personal wellness. I will do the second half of the presentation, or maybe just about a quarter of the presentation. Peter will shortly start with his part of the presentation. As always, your microphone is currently on the mute setting. At the end of the webinar, I will enable the setting for you to unmute yourself and ask questions. And you're welcome to make use of the chat functionality, post your questions in the chat. I can also present those questions at the end and make sure that your question is answered. I think that's all the important things. Again, just we are recording this webinar, and the recording will be placed on the calendar later this evening. And those of you that do request the recording can also get the recording from Charmaine. Thank you, Peter. That's all from my side for now.
Thank you, Lisette, and welcome everybody. Just from an introduction side, what I will do today is I will take the model that I work with and just briefly go through it. It's something that I have developed, obviously, over a long period of time, and spend many hours reading and thinking and working and do my own first level or first generation research, hand out forms, get answers, count the answers, etc. I've done this hundreds of times in my life. So I will work through the model, but then I will work through something that is currently a discussion point in the medical sciences, and it's got huge implications for us, especially for people that are getting a little bit older. That has got nothing to do with me. Fortunately, I'm lucky. I still have about 30 years to go before I'm 60. So, but for the rest, those of you with parents and people in the workplace, especially in the employment frame, we have a huge responsibility for the wellness of people that are employed with us and in a company. An employer is not somebody that just hands out money for work that is being done. An employer is a way of giving meaning and content and fulfillment to people's lives. And if you want to see what happens if they don't have it, take their employment away and see how quickly they collapse. So what I will do is I will share my screen so that we can just follow the notes. And I'm sorry for doing this every time, but it just makes it a bit easier to have notes that you can follow whilst we have the topic in discussion. What we will do is obviously we will have a look at wellness, personal wellness, and then I will take a little bit of a different angle with something relatively new in the space of wellness management. But it's not that new in the medical neuro research and neurosciences, the guys who study the working of the brain and how the nerve system connects to the brain and how the brain manages the body and the environment through the nerve system and the messages that it gets and sends. But that a little bit later. So I work with a model, and that is that we need 5 things to work for us in order to function properly to be well, to be happy, to be in a space where we feel that life has got meaning, life is a fulfilling experience, life has a purpose, and I have a space and a place in this life to contribute to my own well-being, but in doing so also to contribute to the well-being and the wellness of others. In order of priority, these are the 5 things that must be in place for us to function properly and to be in a space of personal wellness. 1, my relationships must be a success. If I have relationship pollution and relationship troubles and relationship issues, my life is being polluted by this. And this is, if we look at the people knocking on the doors for help with ministers of religion, with counselors, coaches, psychologists, etc., 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 the number 1 topic is there's a relationship issue somewhere. Then success with our careers, my career must work, but this includes the fact that I must make a decent living from my career. In other words, my financial position is embedded in this career thing that must work. I must feel that I get value, I receive value in return for the effort that I put on the table for my employer or for my business or for whatever my career is made of. And then physical health, my body must work. Obviously, the moment our bodies are compromised in any way, it could be an accident, it could be a health problem that I picked up along the way, it could, whatever it is. I don't want to go into the detail of it because some of this could become personal things. But our bodies must work. And if our physical bodies are compromised and we cannot really do the things that we would like to do and the things that other people around me can do so easily, we experience a sense of humiliation or a sense of loss or a sense of being compromised in the way our lives function. And that eventually has got a sort of an effect on our wellness and happiness and our fulfillment in life. And then home, the place where I live, living space and place, my house, the place where I live must be a positive identity of who I am and where I want to be. So my living space and place must work for me. It must be a positive experience for me to spend my life in that space and to be there. Everything must be there that I need, well, as close as I can get. And then the operations of my life, the effort of a working day. In other words, how much does it take for me? How much energy does it take from me to get through a normal working day? Now, if the operations of my life stretches me beyond my capacity to do it, then obviously I am overstretched, I'm too thinly spread, my energy is being depleted, I feel like it must be Friday and then it's only Tuesday morning. So I use weekends to just get myself together to face another week fighting Monday to Friday. And by Tuesday, I'm finished and I take Wednesday and Thursday as a weekend because I just don't have it in me to keep up with the operations and the demands that life has in my situation and that are my challenges that I need to face. So this is just a summary, just a quick overview. This is the framework what I work with, and this is the framework that I have developed in a lifetime dedication of my energy to try and understand what makes people happy and what makes them live a life of meaning and of wellness. But we will now look at something different. Now, what I want to is, I want you don't take this negative, please. And if you are worried about people, take this as a moment to do something. We do not solve the problems of life by chewing bubblegum and watching TV. We we solve the problems of life by standing up and say, I'm going to stand up and do something. Very few things have been changed by chewing bubble gum and watching the birds through the window. It doesn't work that way. So if you learn something today that upsets you, take it as, but I've got to do something about this. So let's start. A shrinking world. It looks like this. I live in a big house with space. For me, where I have hobbies, I have a place where I can move around freely. I have a garden. I feed the birds. I have a little bit of a vegetable garden, and I keep myself busy with that. And I go to work. And on weekends, there are lots of things to do. There's a roof that might be leaking, and there's always a roof that might be leaking on a big house, and there's a pipe that needs my attention, and in the meantime I'm battling with a swimming pool pump, and it's a big house, and the swimming pool turns green, and then I've got to fight the pool, and then I've got to find somebody to sort out the pool, and then I've got to mow the lawn, and I can carry on. But the fact is, there's a big house with space and a lot to do. Then what we do, we say, I don't want to live this year anymore. This place is too big it's only me and Lizette. My kids are out of the house. It's only the two of us, and we don't need a swimming pool. In fact, we haven't been swimming for a year now. And we don't need this garden. You know, the veggies that we buy at Woolies is as good and better. And by the way, the gate motor is again not working, and the roof must be redone. So, you know, I don't need this. I don't need this anymore. I must let me just get something less. I don't want a swimming pool, and I don't want 4 bedrooms, and I don't want a workplace. I'm going to sell all my tools and just get rid of. I'm just fed up. So I turn my life to become a bit less of a stressful, high impact, high demand, high energy draining space. And then I live in this small little house, and I tell everybody how nice it is for me to live in this 1-bedroom little house, and it's all on its own, and it's so much easier to keep it clean and to keep it neat. There's no swimming pool, there's no garage there, we can carry on. And then at a point, our energy for this place becomes compromised, and we say, you know what, I think I'm going to move into a small apartment in the yard where my children live. They've got a big house, they're in their 30s, and there's a garden flatlet. I'm going to revive that and move there, because then I'm on their security, and they have a pool, by the way. That's not my problem, and it's their problem if the gate motor doesn't work. Or I move in a place that is even that might be a standalone, not with children or family or whatever, but it's small, very small, sort of a micro living kind of a thing, or it might be even a retirement village or something. Almost nothing to take care of. This is heaven. I have arrived. I don't have to do anything. I am done. It's finished. I don't have worries. I don't have troubles. I can sit back and just relax and let life go by. What an amazing goal to reach. Good. It's fine. No problem. There is, however, a challenge. And that is that whilst I was living in this big house, I and my wife had to always work. We always had to get on the roof, get in the swimming pool, do the lawn, clean the garage, paint the wall. If we didn't do it ourselves, at least we have to manage the process of doing it. But there were always something that needed our energy. Good. So what happened then? I moved to this place, and in that place, I don't have to. I can just walk out the door, take a walk, have nothing with me, do nothing, stroll around town, stroll around the village or whatever it might be, the security village or whatever, wherever this is. Just go for a walk. I don't have to worry about the garden and nothing. This is life. This is fantastic. The problem is, now I end there. What happens here is I start to compromise my energy to do things. So when I'm here and somebody says to me, let's go watch the rugby on Saturday. If I'm there, I have energy because my energy has been used and there's always a demand on my energy. And if somebody says to me here, whilst I have these high demands and a busy life, let's go watch the rugby. I say, yes, let's go. Let's go. Where do I meet you? How do I get there? How do we get there? Do we have, where do we park? If I say to this person, let's go watch rugby. No, I'll watch it on TV. There's a reason. The energy to put the energy together to go and watch the rugby with somebody, friends, family, children, or whatever it might be, has been depleted to the point where the person just doesn't have it in him or her to do it anymore. So for these people to go down to Cape Town for a weekend, if there's some concert that they would like to see, not a problem. Not a problem. Let's get into the aeroplane. Let's go there, hire a car, drive to town, and watch the show and come back Sunday evening. What an energy filled weekend. For this person, no. How do we get there? No, who's going to book the tickets? No, I don't have the energy to sit and book tickets. And then how do we get there? And then where do we? Their energy has been depleted to the point where they cannot do it anymore. And then the children and the neighbors and the friends, etc., says, but don't you want to do something? Yeah, but not this. Yeah, but okay, let's go watch the movies in the mall. No, you know what? No. So what happens as we scale down, our energy levels and our internal strength to live a life dwindles and it scales down in the process. But this is not the problem. Let me show you the problem. This is the problem. If we scale down, we ask a question, is this a great idea? Let me show you something. If they look at the brain, how the neurons fire, whilst the individual lives in this demanding environment, they see that the activity in the brain is about on a level 90 to 95, 98% of the neurons fire actively. So if you show visuals to this person, you see high levels of activity in the brain. If you read for this person and you monitor the brain, you see high levels of neurons that connect with one another and how they fire information around to interpret and to hear and to listen and to work with the information that they receive. What happens? If this person stays in this scaled down environment for a year, 30% less activity in the brain, 30% less. So what happens now, if you tell this person a story, there is much less activity in the brain than what they were a year back when they lived this high demand, high energy consuming life. What happened to the other neurons? They die. They become dysfunctional. They become dysfunctional. They cannot fire information to their fellow neurons in the brain. And what happens with the experience of this person about life, it minimizes their experience of life. So everything becomes flat, everything becomes low energy, everything becomes difficult to understand, difficult to follow up, difficult to remember, difficult to follow an argument, difficult to read a story, difficult to complete a book. Why? Because the neurons in the brain has died. They became inactive. They disconnected from their fellow neurons to work. So what now happens is, if this individual now moves to this next scale down phase, in 1 year's time, another 30% dies. So what is the problem now? The problem is that this person hasn't got the neuron patterns and the neuroactivity in the brain to function properly anymore. They become slowly, they deteriorate. Even at an initial phase, you can see that they're not quite there anymore, but they are okay. But leave it for 4 years, leave it for 3 years. And then the children say, I think there's a problem with my dad. He told me this story 3 times in 2 days. Why? Because he forgot. Why did he forget? Because the neurons cannot remember it. Why can't the neurons remember it? Because they're not fit. They have died because they have been neglected by the principle, if you don't use it, you lose it. This is the most critical thing about the neurons in the brain. If you don't use it, you lose it. That's it. It's like the muscles of the body. Put somebody in a wheelchair that has been a fit powerhouse of muscles. Put that person in a wheelchair for 6 months and see what is left of the person. Nothing, nothing. The muscles have been completely destroyed because they are not used. It's exactly the same what happens in the brain. So as we scale down, we must keep in mind that we scale down our physical energy, but also our brain power. And this is the cause of death. This combination, that combination there, causes early death. So what we must do, dear attendees and shadow matchers, we must try to rather expand and scale up. We must keep our parents and our neighbors and our people active and alive and working and dedicated to a task. And if they say, but I'm tired, say, no, you're not tired. No, go have a sleep. You'll feel better tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, you start with this process. It's nonsense. They feel tired because it's a mindset. We must reverse this mindset. And we must keep our people working, active, spending their energy on things that gives them fulfillment and that uses their physical and brain energy. They have so much to offer. I want to give you one example. I fly for a hobby. And I've got a flying instructor, and you can Google him. You can tell everybody that I used his name. I don't care, and he doesn't care. His name is Cedric Mew. He's got 45,000 hours flying hours as a pilot, of which 42,000 is as an instructor. He turns on the 4th of September, he turns 79. Next year, Cedric will be 80. He's a commercial pilot instructor. He's an acrobat pilot instructor. He's a PPL instructor. He's a night rating instructor. He's an instrument rating instructor. He's a helicopter pilot instructor, the whole spiel. He works 6 hours a day. And you know what's wrong with Cedric? Nothing. His brain is as sharp as everybody and anybody at the age of 18, 19, and 21. I might even say Cedric will give them a go. His reflexes, his reaction time is spot on everything. There's nothing wrong with him. What was the reason behind this? Cedric kept himself there. His brain, his physics, his physical body, everything functions there. He refused. I said to him the other day, Cedric, when do you retire? He said, I will retire when you attend my funeral. That's it. And that's what kept him alive. But I can tell you hundreds of stories. As you all know by now, and I say it too often maybe, but just for the newcomers around this virtual table, I was a minister of religion in the Dutch Reformed Church. I've watched this process. I've done first-generation research on this process. How people live in my environment where I lived in a big house, and then they start talking about scaling down. And then they scale down and they start talking about scaling down again. And as they scale down their physical and working environment, I could see how their brains deteriorated. And I buried them. And I could see it. I've said it so many times in my life. This person is on a path of an early death. No question. So, but this has got implications for us, dear attendees, and I want to show you because there's a workplace risk in this. Lockdown during the COVID pandemic forced this risk into the workplace. Let me explain this sentence. What happened pre-COVID is I had to get up in the morning, dress myself, get my shoes on, get my socks on, watch the mirror and dress up and say, I'm going to the office. And then I get into my car, I get out of the house, I drive through the traffic for 10, 15, 20, 40, 60, 80 minutes to the office, open the gate, say, hello, 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 how are you? My life has a big frame of living my life. And there was a big frame of activities in my life. I had to dress up. I had to leave at 7. I have to be out. I've got to be on my way. I've got to be fully dressed. I've got to organize myself. So there were high activities. There was an extended space of my existence. We had an office. At the office, I had conversations with many people. I would ask people in IT, how did you do with this? And we had discussions. Do you want coffee? Yes, let's make coffee. Let's chat about this. And then on my way back, I had a new environment coming home again. Tomorrow morning, I move out again to a new environment. And this with the pandemic has changed. Suddenly, we were forced into lockdown and our entire lives shrunk, collapsed into one living and working and existence space. I remember during COVID, Lizette's got this thing with running. She ran 10 kilometers around the house. I once tried to join her. I did 3 kilometers and I said, Lizette, I'm out, dead. I can't do this. I cannot do this. Lizette ran 10 kilometers around, but it showed us how this pandemic forced us to a very small space of living. When we work from home, our living space has been collapsed into a very small area during lockdown. People work from home and their living space has been locked down. So everything became home-based. The house is now everything, but it's now much smaller because I have lost the space of going out. I have lost the space of going to the office. I have lost the intellectual space of engaging my colleagues, having a chat about whatever happens in the news. I have lost the space of conversations. I've lost the space of engaging a different physical environment. And now it's much smaller. But something else happened. Relationship overload and the shrinking existence is now easy. So now I am working from home. My wife is also now working from home, but we have an adult son who's also now have to work from home, and he's also in our house. And my parents live on the flatlet just around the door, and I am now in their space and they are in my space all the time. And now suddenly things are very complicated, but it's small. And now what happens is that I stay in so-so clothing. So I get up in the morning and I sort of dress myself sort of to be okay. If I have a webinar, I put a jacket on, but you know what, who cares? I still have my pajamas underneath, and maybe my pants are still the ones that I slept in, and whatever, who cares? So suddenly, the fact that I have to expand my life every morning, I don't need to. I start to shrink my life every morning. So I dress up so everything becomes sort of very small. I don't travel. I don't have the fun and the entertainment of traveling in South Africa with everything that happens on the road. I have very limited conversations. And if the conversations are there, they are possibly with people that I already have an overload of conversations with. Not that it's negative, but it's very, very positive to have a bit of a break with the people that you have conversations with. Too much can just become too much. Less exposure to diversity and challenging discussions. So everything becomes less. Everything becomes smaller. Everything becomes low energy, low movement. Previously, we presented webinars like this. It was a mission. It was a mission. We had to organize a place. We had to organize coffee. We had to organize tea. We had to organize for cookies. We had to, whatever we had to, everybody in the Shadow Match office had to work themselves to a standstill to stage an event like this. Now, what do? I push a button. Everybody's there. I do my preparation as I would have done for any other event, but there's no big experience of an extended energy draining world. Now what happens is the small world syndrome kicks in. Me, my cat, and my radio. This is a saying. It originated from probably the UK, where people would say, how's life? They would say, it's me, my cat, and my radio. What they say is, my life has been minimized to almost nothing. Me, my cat, and my radio. What we can say now, me, my cat, and my laptop. This is very unhealthy. And we must, as employers and as individuals, work to overcome this serious challenge. I want to share 6 things with you in 2 minutes, and then we will hand over to Lizette. We must, from an employer's position, organize employee contact days at least once a month. We in the Shadow Match office do it once a month. We have a breakfast Friday, and we come together, we chat, we play, we laugh, we engage one another, we discuss, we work, we have meetings, we go for breakfast, and we make sure that we must do it. We must force ourselves out of our small spaces, because it reduces the brain's capacity to function. It reverses the reduction of function in the brain. The fact that we are forced into a small space reduces the functions of the brain. Make it a business culture that work stops at the end of day. We must make it a culture of business that, guys, at 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, whatever it is, business stops. You must have an alternative life. Don't work till 9 o'clock, because that's what people do. They answer emails at 10 o'clock in the evening. I do it myself. It's wrong. And then there are 4 points that the last 4 bullet points, they provide relationship reports, because that is one of the key elements in our lives that take a knock. Assign employees for coaching. Lizette will show that. Develop your people. We we must invest in the development of employees. And the reason for this is very simple. It prevents the brain to die and to shrink and to become minimal and minimized. And then forced skills training, skills grid analysis based. We have the system to help you determine exactly what skills should be developed for each individual in a business. So with that, the last 4 points, don't forget about the first 2, but with the last 4 points, Lisette will now give us a quick overview of the shadow match functions that enable companies to do this. To do what? To do those four. The relationship support, assign employees for coaching, develop your people, and forced skills training amongst your employees. With that, I'm not going to allow for questions right now. I will handle the questions afterwards. Let's give Lisette a quick overview of our system. Lisette, thank you very much, and back to you.
Thanks, Peter, and thanks for the presentation. I think the most important thing that we can gather from what you've said is that personal wellness is definitely a holistic approach. It's not just about our psychology being healthy and our physical body being healthy, but it's more than that. And I think that's what the shadow match system wants to allow you. We obviously don't have the physical fitness programs on the system, but we've got a lot of other programs and a lot of other reports that can help people to live a life of wellness, and that can assist other people in achieving a successful life. So what I would like to do now is I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to show you, I think most of you know most of this, but I have seen new names in our session today. So let me start firstly with our reports page. So it's now, any individual can now get any of the shadow match reports. So you no longer have to be part of a company or an organization that signs up for shadow match to get access to shadow match. So any person from the street, people that work in a company that have seen shadow match and that say, sure, this is such a fantastic system. Their children, their brothers, their siblings, their mothers, whoever they know, their friends, can also now get access to the value of the shadow match reports. So the page that you see on my screen currently, the URL is shadowmatchreports.com. So this is a page where any individual from the public can go, and you can, with the click of a button, quick buy any of the shadow match reports. Now I'm going to scroll down just to show you what is available. So you can buy a personal feedback report. Obviously, whenever you buy any of these reports, the first step that the system will prompt you to do is to complete the shadow match worksheet, because the shadow match system needs to know your behavioral patterns in order to generate these reports. So you can just decide to buy a personal feedback report. The system will send the link. You can complete the worksheet and you will receive your personal feedback report. But with that, you can also buy a career report. You can buy a study methods report. You can buy relationship reports. Now, I will shortly show you what relationship reports are available, but this is quite important with regards to personal wellness in the workplace, because in the workplace, we tend to focus on business. But people live in relationships. They live in work relationships. They live in personal relationships. And if somebody is in a troubled or a challenged relationship outside of the workplace, with a child or with a spouse or with a family member, that does spill over into the workplace. So what a company can do is they can assist employees to get relationship reports so that they can address challenging relationships. So any person can come to this website and they can purchase a relationship report. The personal development programs, these are all available for purchase. When you purchase the development program on the shadow match reports page, the system will look at the individual's habits as a unique individual and then suggest the program. The person can actually buy any of the personal development programs available, and I'll show you shortly. And then there's an industry paradigm report, and I think for a lot of you, this might be new. You might not have heard of this before. This is a very short worksheet that you can complete. It will take you about 10 minutes. It's also available to buy on the Shadow Match reports page, and this questionnaire will help you to plot your paradigm in terms of your thinking. In other words, is your mindset an industry 1, 2, 3, or 4 mindset. Now, those of you that don't know what industry 1, 2, 3, and 4, what that's all about, please go and read. We are currently in the 4th industrial revolution. So if you want to know what your paradigm is, are you more inclined to have an industry 4 mindset, or are you more inclined to have an industry 1 mindset? I would urge you to go and buy this report. It's very, very valuable to help you understand your thinking paradigms. So these reports are available. As you can see, you can watch a video that explains the reports. And there are also some example reports. So if you're not yet sure which of these reports you would like to purchase, you can look at some of the example reports below. And keep in mind that you don't have to start from the personal report and work your way through to the industry. You can buy any of these reports. You can just decide, I want the relationship report. The system is intelligent enough to send you the correct links and to generate the correct report once you've bought the report. And then obviously, if you need a coach, or if you need Shadow Match in your business, you can contact us and you can find more information on this page. So this is our Shadow Match reports page. A last thing I would like to show you here before I move on to the next thing is, if you go to the quick buy reports button, the system will give you all the reports that are available, and you can decide which ones you want. The system will total, and as you continue, you then go either through PayPal or PayFast. You purchase the reports, and the process runs automatically from there. So this is the Shadow Match reports page. Now, once you've completed Shadow Match, whether you do it through the reports page or whether you're part of a company and you've already completed Shadow Match, any individual who has completed Shadow Match will get access to their own personal Shadow Match portal. So the moment you've completed Shadow Match, the system creates your own unique portal, and on this Shadow Match portal, depending on which of the reports you've purchased, you can then have access to your career report. Now, obviously, I've purchased all these reports, so I have my career report available. I have my study report available, and if I haven't purchased it as yet, it will show me that this report is available, and it will have a purchase button where I currently have the active button. And then obviously on this page, there are some interpretation videos to help me interpret my personal feedback report. What I would like to get to on my personal portal is the relationships. So I've already spoken about the relationship reports that are available on shadowmatchreports.com. And these are the relationship reports that you can purchase. You can purchase a work relationship report, a friendship, a family report, and that would typically be with a brother or a sister, a mom or a dad. A love relationship report. You can purchase a marriage report. If you are in a cohabitation situation, whether you are students sharing a flatlet or you are staying in a hostel and you have to share a room, these ones would be your staying together, your cohabitation report. A parent-child report. We suggest that the child is a minimum of 13 years old to request the parent-child report, and then there's also a teacher-student report available. So these are the relationship reports that you can either, once you've completed Shadow Match, purchase on your personal portal, or if you haven't done Shadow Match, you can go straight to the Shadow Match reports page, and you can just say, I would like to purchase a relationship report. So there are different ways and different avenues that you can get to these reports. Then the next thing I would like to show you is the Shadow Match coaching system. So those of you that are in business, one of the main things that we do to help employees to cope with the challenges of life is we get them a coach. Now, a coach can either be an external coach, or it can be somebody employed by the company, a manager or a buddy that serves and that also acts in the role of a coach. So we've got shadowmatchcoaching.com is our coaching portal. Those of you that haven't seen this before, you can visit shadowmatchcoaching.com. All the information is on this page, the information about the coaching programs that are available. So there are career coaching, there's study method coaching, fulfillment coaching, and personal development program coaching. Now, how will this help somebody with regards to their personal wellness? Now, dear participants, if somebody is in a career and they want to further their career, and we help them to build that career and to progress in their career, we help them to be a successful individual. If somebody is in a career that's not working for them, we can help them to find an alternative career, because we spend most of our life, our younger life, in a career. And if it's not working for you, it definitely compromises your success and your feeling of being an individual that's holistically well. The fulfillment coaching, this coaching is aimed at helping anybody who would like to craft a better life, just in general. So in the workplace, we have people that might be facing challenges. They would definitely benefit from the fulfillment coaching, because that would help the individual holistically to address challenges in their life that is currently holding them back. And then the personal development programs, these are very powerful in developing specific habits for specific purposes. So again, if we look at personal wellness in the workplace, if somebody is struggling in their job, it might be because they don't have the same strength in terms of their routine habit, like the people that are doing well in the job. So we can help that individual to build a better pattern with regards to routine or problem solving. And the system, the shadow match system, can help to identify what habit is the habit that is lacking in order to make somebody successful in a specific job, in a specific workplace. And these development programs are very, very good at helping individuals to develop specific habits to become successful in the job that they have to do. Now, any person obviously can become a coach. Even if you are employed in a company and you would like to really take this personal wellness thing serious with your own department, and you would like to become a coach to your employees, you can go and you can become a coach. If you feel that you need a coach, you can go to the Find a Coach button, and we have a list of Shadow Match accredited coaches, and these people are available. They can coach any of those coaching programs that I've just shown you: career, study, fulfillment, or the personal development programs. So these are the Shadow Match coaching programs and the coaching system that is available to any individual. It's not just companies, it's any individual. I think that's mostly the important things that Peter alluded to as well: the development programs, the coaching program, as well as the personal portal with the reports available to individuals. And then obviously most of you are Shadow Match clients already, because that's how you know about the webinar. Those of you that are not, remember, the entire Shadow Match system will help a company to place people in the correct job so that we help them to become successful in their jobs. We don't want to place somebody in a job where we set them up for failure. We want to place them in a job where we know that they will be successful, and the Shadow Match system helps with that. So I think what I'll do now is I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'll open to questions to Peter and to me with regards to the system, and we can then deal with that. So from my side, Peter, I'm going to hand to you first. I'm not sure if you've got anything that you would like to add, and then we'll open for questions.
Lisette, we have a question from Sunette. Sunette posted it to everybody. And the question is very relevant because it asks a very pertinent point. How do I scale down without compromising my wellness and my fulfillment and my well-being? How do I do this? Because sometimes I just want to scale down, but now I fear that I am being compromised. My body will become weaker, my brain will become weaker, and as a person, I will just become less of a capable individual. Sunette, this is a critical question because we feel the urge to scale down for a specific reason, and that is that I've had enough of this. But that doesn't mean I've had enough of everything. We must just get something that could replace this. In other words, I have had enough of this job, but don't stop working. Do something else. Become a coach. You have a lot of value, and coach one individual every second day. Coach on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, and a Friday, and you've got 3 individuals that you coach. It gives you a lot of fulfillment. It's a positive engagement with people. It expands your thinking. It challenges your thinking. But the problem is not this, that we must rescale and not scale down. I have a hobby that in January, I start a new hobby every year, and I do it for a year. And that keeps me so interested in the world around me. It keeps me so active. And I've done pottery, and I've done whatever you can mention. If I find something that intrigues me, I make a hobby out of it for a year. So, and this keeps me actively involved in my world and in my immediate environment. And I put an effort into this. So the question is not, how do I scale down? The question is, how do I find an alternative to what I am doing now that is not that intense and that demanding, but it doesn't allow me to deteriorate in terms of my energy, my physical fitness, and my personal wellness in terms of how I use my brain. Start playing a new music instrument or whatever it is, but don't scale down to do less. That's the danger point, because as we scale down, there's no argument about it. The science have made up their minds. They've got the facts. You lose it. That's it. And we must prevent that. And I hope that answers your question in a way, Sunette. If I didn't, please ask again.
Thanks, Peter. I think we can, what I'll do now is I will enable the setting for anybody to ask questions. There were no other questions in the chat. There were some questions directly, but it's questions that I've dealt with. So let me, okay, go ahead, Peter.
Sorry, Lizette, there's a critical question. Can we revive the neurons? Yes. Professor Jepson is the leading scientist in the world. I hope he is still alive, because he was not that young when he started with this research, and it's 10 years ago. But what they have found is that to revive the neurons in the brain, you have to do it physically. In other words, your body must do it. And there are specific programs for the body. And if you look at, if somebody, for instance, had a stroke and a certain portion of the brain has been damaged, how do they teach the brain to be able to eat, for instance? They take their hands, they take the hand, put the knife in the hand, and then take the other hand, put the fork in this hand. And then the therapist will take the hands and feed the person with their own hands. Because by doing that, the muscles wire the brain, and neuroplasticity is the technical word. In other words, the neurons that cannot be revived, others become active to help those that are sort of now paralyzed. Or they take over the job and they revive the brain in that way. But there are specific exercises, but you've got to do it physically. You cannot do it in another way other than the body must reprogram the brain. Throw a ball against the wall, catch it with the one hand, throw it, catch it with the other hand, balance exercises. And for everybody around the table, please stand on one leg for 30 seconds every day. Please do it. Your brain has to fire 10,000 instructions per second to keep your balance. And that's how you keep your brain fit. Stand on one leg for 30 seconds every day. Both legs, please do it. Protect yourself against the deterioration. So you can revive it, Lizette, but it's better to prevent it. That's a great question. Thanks.
Thanks, Peter. What I'll do now is allow me to enable the setting for you to unmute your microphone. And then you can ask questions now. You're welcome to raise your hand, switch on your microphone, and just ask your question. Let's see if there are any questions. I see there's a comment from Marilda. I've got 3 clients over the age of 70, and my oldest career coaching client is 76. So proud of her. Well done. That's fantastic that people at that age still do coaching, and that's what will keep them young. Thanks for the comment, Rieta. Let's see. I see no hands as yet. I'll give a moment.
Lizette, whilst they are thinking, I played league golf for the university when I was a youngster. I was a +2 handicap, and I played in Pretoria West against an elderly person. He was 72 years old then, and he hit all his shots further than myself and my playing partner, who was also a student, and he was 3 years younger than me. We were in our early 20s. And then at a point, I said to Jimmy, I said, this elderly person, he was 74. And I said to Jimmy, yes, I would like to hit the ball this far when I'm your age. And he said, you can't do it now. How do you intend doing it when you're my age? So, so it was just an indication of what can be done. We must just stay active and stay alive.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for sharing that story. Any other comments? Let's give a few moments, otherwise we can conclude. Doesn't look like it. Thank you very much for joining. Please keep a lookout on the calendar for our next system webinar. Some of you we will see in our next coaching webinar. Have a great afternoon and a great day, and we see you soon. Thanks for joining.
Bye, everyone.